with the platform that this show has afforded folks, myself included, it's like she's changed people's lives. She's helped people buy homes.
Let's talk about the casting.
Please,
right?
yeah. Theo Park, our casting director, our local, she's amazing.
How many awards has she won, by the way?
I mean, not enough. Yeah. I mean, but I also would like casting directors in general are just badasses. They're wizards and mystics that see the best in people. That is their job. Like, how special is that? Like, they can go about it, cynically and be like, "Oh, here comes another blonde guy," or whatever. Yeah. But they don't. They literally find these jewels in the rough. There's a woman named Allison Jones who's she did like The American Office, and when casting the show, I've always got on with her. I think she's an incredible human being, and again just has that aura about her that recognizes these other auras in people. And I was like, who do we get to, like, you can't do it, can you? She says, no, I don't know anybody over there. I was like, okay. She goes, Theo Park is who you want. Theo Park. I was like, okay, I got to meet this guy. It was a woman, and she has just been a delight to us, and has given us so many people, and have given so many of those people careers. You know what I mean? Like, even though they had them, but with the platform that this show has afforded folks, myself included, it's like she's changed people's lives. She's helped people buy homes.
Well, Theo comes from God, of course. I
wish I knew her parents' names, because I'd check with the middleman between her and God.
Yeah, the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, the casting, it's a joy. I mean, there's. The only person that didn't audition, that didn't read, was Juno Temple, and we were looking for someone to play Keely Jones.
Everybody's so good.
It's so good.
I was going to say Juno's so good, but they're also good. Some of the actors auditioned for multiple parts, didn't they?
Yes, yeah.
So he auditioned for a part they didn't get, and then did get a part, now are in it.
Well, I mean, it's a little bit odd, but when we were writing the footballers, there was maybe a debate in the writers' room, not a debate, but a discussion of like, do we have two Brits? Do we have Jamie Tart and Roy Kent? I personally felt it was important to have people from the same area, just because there's different levels of machismo, even in the north and south, like Roy and Jamie. But we talked about maybe doing in other regions, right? So then Danny Rojas, the character that is Danny Rojas, we were going to do like Latino version, or Spanish. We didn't know what we were going to do, but maybe from some other place, and that was going to be the young brash, almost like a Ronaldo, like whether he's Portugal or whatnot, Brazil, etc. And Phil came in to audition for the character of Danny Rojas when he was written still as like an American, up and comer, but he did an accent, and he was brilliant. We didn't know. I mean, he looked like a young Marlon Brando doing this accent. And then he's like, well, he's hitting all the jokes. He understands all the beats, and it's like, well, he's a white fella, and that doesn't fly, like that wouldn't be authentic. So then the Danny Rojas character became like this joyful character, especially once we saw Christo.
And Christo was a footballer.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. And we'd have people do these auditions. They'd send in tapes where they do the audition, then they'd do some keepy uppy, or do stuff. And there were some really funny things where a couple people for the character soccer girl is played by this young woman Shannon. People breaking windows. I was like, whoops. But still with. So that would be an example of Phil auditioning for that. I know. I believe Nick Mohammed, was going to read maybe for Higgins. Yeah. And then
he wanted that, didn't he?
I think so. Yeah. But because I think he felt the Nate character, the way it was initially written, felt similar to stuff that either he had done or was working on. And I completely get that. I know I've made choices for films based on what film I just did last. So it's very common and makes total sense to me that an actor would want to do something they hadn't just done.
If any of you were as close to Ted Lasso as you can be without writing it, it might be Christo, mightn't it? It might be.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, Brendan's beard is pretty close, although Brendan will admit, and it's true, is more loquacious. But it's a lovely.
I think brain meets spirit would be Christo and Brendan, wouldn't it?
Maybe. Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah. I would. Yeah. Hannah's really that tall.
Oh, she's, by the way, I mean, all of them, just keep it coming.
It really is.
It's so good, man. Oh my God, it's like the Beatles. You're like the Beatles.
This is obnoxious. I'm so glad you're saying it, not me.
No, hang on, but we know the Beatles. There were 7 Beatles. There weren't 4.
Yeah, right. Okay. You're going George Martin and Pete Best? You're going all the way, or how you?
No,
where are you getting that number
people
from?
That were in the Beatles. So Pete was in the Beatles.
Yeah.
There's a guy called Jimmy Nicol in the Beatles, and there was Stuart Sutcliffe in the Beatles.
Okay. Oh yes.
As well. So that's the 7 Beatles.
Yes.
And but of course they could have all had a band each. And what you had with
Yeah.
the Beatles is you had 4 band leaders agreeing to be in the same band,
Yeah.
and bringing all their strengths and all their genius and all their God-given whatever it was to this incredible explosion of something that had never happened before and will never happen again.
Yeah.
That's Ted Lasso.
That's, I mean, yeah.
I really think so.
That's, I mean, this is a lot. I really appreciate this, man, because I can see it in your eyes how much you mean it. It's
I know.
It's very flattering, but I feel that way when I look around. I mean, at the end of the season 1, I remember being in the makeup trailer, and we have all the headshots of every, and there's 150. It's like, it's a big show, and it's only gotten bigger, right? It's almost like The Simpsons at this point, in only 3 seasons with how many characters we have. And I looked around, and I was just like, we have no turkeys. Nobody here caused a stink. Nobody here, that's even behind the scenes, much less getting the opportunity to be involved with the show soup to nuts, from writing it to editing it. I love watching these people perform. They knock my socks off. And they do things that I know that they didn't think that they could do, whether it be learn a monologue in an afternoon, or whether it plays something like the journey that Nick Muhammad takes us on as Nate, to go to the places he had to go to play evil without judgment, like Jamie Tart did, like Jimmy Lance does as Trent Krim. I mean, it's, as Anthony Head does as Rupert, just irredeemable. And to play it with sincerity, honesty, and no judgment, because comedians want to be liked. Most people want to be liked, and to play unlikable is incredible, because it allows for those depths that you're feeling, and we love playing. Yeah, you can bring people really high and bring people really low. At least attempt to. Some people don't want to go on the ride. You can't. That's all right. But you don't get many hugs from people with their arms crossed.